and then thinking that this is the one. But you don't understand that some people come in your life for a season, and some people come in your life for a reason. But the problem in life is we hold on to seasonal people. Why? Because the seasons are fun.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. I'm always excited when we doing this thing. Today we talking about my first love. That's all of us. A lot of us have gone through things with our first loves. And I've noticed that's the premise of why so many relationships are bad. It's the start. It's thinking something is going to be what is not. Thinking that you guys are meant to be forever, but you guys aren't. And that's the problem why I feel like a lot of relationships are bad right now. It's the first relationship that a lot of people started with. The first love. The person that you thought you was going to spend the rest of your life with. Everyone knows that, let's be honest, we've all played the fool. Anyone that get on my live right now or any platform and say, you've never played the fool, I will call you a liar. We've all played the fool. Meaning when you got in that first relationship, you thought that everything was going to last forever. You guys were going to be together forever and ever and ever. This is the first love. For anybody on my live right now, I want you to give me a thumbs up emoji and tell me, do you remember your first love? Let's see what people say. Because I remember my first love, right? And the crazy part is a lot of the times when you sit back and evaluate, but a lot of times nothing lasts forever, right? But this is the truth. Sometimes we feel like we don't know who we are. And when you start learning yourself, you start seeing that a lot of relationships weren't what they really were. We become very tolerable. A lot of times we see a lot of red flags, but we ignore them. I've noticed now when dealing with relationships, more people are so focused on making someone they're not, opposed to accepting someone for someone they are. Let me say that again. I've noticed more people are focused on changing people for who we want them to be rather than dealing with or accepting a person for who they are. See, the one thing about when you see someone for who they are, you have to live in reality and be honest with yourself. Like, look, sometimes we say things about people, oh, he's lazy, he's always been lazy. But sometimes in our mind, we go off the potential. I did a video, and it was talking about 5 things that women are the reason why women lose in relationships. One of the main reasons I truly believe that most women lose in relationships is because they always base the relationship on the fact that the person has potential. We base it on potential. Listen, in order for someone to have the potential, they have to see their own potential. You can't see the potential in someone who don't see it in themselves. Yes, you can motivate someone, 100%. But the problem is when you're dealing with someone in their later days, a lot more people become complacent and content with who they are. They don't see the reasoning to change. We're talking about our first loves. In my first love, I'm going to be honest with you. No names will be said, but at the end of the day, I'm going to tell my story, my truth. I remember dealing with someone to the point where everything was about them. We overcompromise to the point where we lose our identities. There are a lot of people right now who are in relationships that don't like who they are, but yet and still they stay in a relationship because they're scared of who they may become without the person. You're comfortable. We misconstrue comfort with being happy. Sometimes you think that you're happy, but in reality, you're comfortable. And comfort can be the devil. And a lot of people don't want to accept that maybe the reason why the relationship isn't working is because you're too comfortable. What do I mean by comfortable? Meaning, looking at yourself in the mirror. Are you becoming the best version of yourself? Are you living in your reality? See, I know one guy who told me that him and his woman was going to buy a house, but yet and still they've been together 12 years and haven't saved any money. This is what happens when you are comfortable. You start telling yourself, you become delusional. You start believing something could happen that will never happen. Why? Because you're in love. And love is okay, but at the same time, don't allow the love that you have for someone to make you become delusional. You think that you and this person is going to do some amazing things when the person don't even believe that they can do amazing things. You have to accept your roles. In 2024, more people will build healthier relationships if they learn to accept their roles. Ladies, if you're stronger financially in a relationship, it don't mean that he's a weak man. A weak man won't accept their role, right? See, if you built yourself to the magnitude of the financial provider and you always worked on that, right? You may look at a man who doesn't make money as weak, but the strength is in him is the fact that he's willing to accept that you're the leader. It takes a strong person to accept their role. Because in most cases, even when someone is not good at something, they put their ego first. So the fact that the man don't show ego, it shows that he has the willingness to allow you to lead. So it says volumes about him. It shows that he's strong enough to know that he's not feasible or good at that role. And that's what we need to understand. More people are wasting time fighting with someone for who they are rather than accepting them. My whole first love relationship was about pretending and posing and butterflies and flowers. A lot of people have the wrong misconception about relationships, right? They believe that it's always happy. Listen to that term happy. Ladies, someone's going to get mad when I say this, but I'm going to be honest. A man's role is not to make a woman happy. I'm going to say that again. A man's role is not to make a woman happy. Men, a woman's role is not to make you happy. Being happy should be a self thing. You should automatically make yourself happy. But one thing I will admit, ladies and gentlemen, it is a man's job to add the IER on you're already happy. Ladies, it is a woman's job to add the IER already on that man's happier. You got to make someone happier. But an individual have to make themselves happy. I've been in relationships where it was always about me trying to. There's two statements that I've noticed that are not true. One of the main statements I see in relationships is the fact that women say things like, a man is supposed to love you to the magnitude of your father. Ladies, a man is not supposed to love you to the magnitude of your father. That means if a man loves you more than your father or to the magnitude of your father, that means that your father wasn't that good. I'm going to call it again. A man could never love my daughter more than me. It's impossible. And if a man is looking for a woman to love him to the equivalency of his mom, that means his mom wasn't a good mother. Think about that statement. If a man wants a woman to love him to the magnitude of his mother, then she couldn't have been a good mother. I'm looking at it like, do you agree? Do you agree with this statement? Do you agree? See, a lot of times, I'll give you a scenario. People look at the first love, and I'm seeing older people base that on the fact that every relationship they go into is what it's what they base it on. The reason why your first love is unforgettable is because it's pure and it's filled with innocence. And that's why people believe that that person that you may have fell in love with the first time was the true love. I dated a woman who believed that the first boyfriend that she dated as a middle schooler was the guy that she should be with. And we would get into arguments, and she would say things like, I need to be with, see, if I would have been with this person, I would be good. So finally, I got to the point where I said, you need to go be with him. Fast forward, she did. And ultimately, the relationship ended. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe that that high school sweetheart or that elementary sweetheart is going to be who they were when y'all were kids, you're a fool. Damn. There's no way. There are exceptions to the rule, right? There are some people who go backwards, meet the person they used to talk to, and it works out. But to create that as a standard, that's not reality, right? So let me say this. So with dating this woman, she would always say things like, my ex, my ex, my ex, my ex. Here's the problem. If your ex and your relationship was so good, why don't you go back? I got this. Guys, I'm just getting over a cold, so bear with me a little bit. I've been sick for a few days. Right? I happen to live in New York. So if you believe that the ex is the standard or the catalyst of a great relationship, then I think most people need to be with their ex. Because I'm going to tell you something. An unfulfilled mind will always believe that there was something that existed that never existed. So, man, if you believe that that woman that you dated when you were 16 is the woman of your dreams, then you're going to go back and realize that that person is not the same person. Ladies, that man is not the same man. He was a kid. You were a kid. You were innocent. You were untainted. He was an untainted. All the luggage that you've been through all these years, you're carrying with you. And let's call it what it is, right? First breakup tends to be the worst or the most serious breakup, or you assume so. You feel like you cannot live. I'm asking everyone on my live right now. Remember that first breakup where you thought you'll never be able to eat again? I'm going to keep it real with you. I remember, Dre, I'm going to keep it 100. I remember laying in a room playing, Lovers and Friends by Ludacris and Usher. I ain't going to front. I played that thing on repeat. I play Lovers and Friends on repeat, over and over and over. Why? Stop. Because I was depressed, right? So Lovers and Friends was my song. And it's funny, I got a little brother, and I'm snitching, I don't care if he get mad. My little brother played Shot For Me by Drake over and over and over. And I knew he was going through a breakup. Shout out to my little brother. I'm asking everybody in my life, what was that breakup record? What was that breakup record for you? What was that breakup record? Mine was Lovers and Friends by Ludacris. By Ludacris, Lil Jon, and Usher. Tell me, you know that song? I was depressed. I didn't think I would be able to eat again. I didn't think I would be able to sleep again. I didn't think that I'd be able to go think My First Love by Avant. You remember that? My First Love? One of the guys in the studio right now talking about his first love was Avant, the song Avant. He cried to that record, I could tell, right? What was your first record? Let me see. My song was Resentment by Beyonce. What he says? I'd rather have hard times by Luther Vandross. Listen, music helped us get over these moments, right? And I will admit that a lot of people who suffer from trauma from past relationships that they're bringing into their current relationships, right? We don't seek therapy or counseling or help. Most people believe the best way to get over a relationship is getting into a new relationship, ultimately bringing the luggage from the last relationship. Look at this relationship thing, right? Just imagine going to an airport, right? Look at this, we're at an airport, and all of a sudden you see a conveyor belt. When you leave from one state to another state, you bring what? Luggage with you. And when you go to the new airport, what do you do when you get to the airport? You go pick up your luggage, right? And when you go pick up, let me say this again. Imagine going to an airport. And when you get to the airport, you go to pick up your luggage. When you go to pick up your luggage, you go to the conveyor belt. And when you get to the conveyor belt, you're picking up your luggage. And what is your luggage doing until you get to the conveyor belt? It's going round and round. See, the problem is, what I'm getting at is this. That conveyor belt is a representation, and that luggage is a representation of you mentally, how you feel by moving on to different situations. Yet and still, you may move to a new situation. You don't see that you're still bringing the same mental luggage with you. So therefore, you're going to still have the same problems. A lot of times, our first loves are the ones who cause trauma to the point where a lot of us are still hurting. So what happens? Hurt people, because you're hurting. So the only way to alleviate the pain is to hurt somebody else. And that's what you see. My first love. And I'm gonna admit this. Coming out of my first relationship, I became horrible. Right? Because I never got over the trauma. I got on with the trauma. Going to this airport with my same mental luggage, thinking that because I'm in a new state, quote unquote, the new relationship, I would ultimately have better results. And that's what was my problem. And I'm honestly saying, I genuinely believe that that's why most people have problems. They run to different airports, carrying the same luggage, ultimately having the same problem. Because why? They never cleaned themselves, they never got better, they actually get the same results. And it becomes the premise of life. And we continue to go around this conveyor belt, right? Or we take our luggage and we'll go to another state. And when you go to this new state, all you get is the same results. The first love. There are a lot of people right now who need to look at relationships right now, right? And not keep blaming yourself for the results of what someone else have done. You cannot blame yourself for the fact that some people don't respect you. You cannot blame yourself for the fact that someone didn't appreciate you. You cannot blame yourself for the fact that someone devalued you. But the one thing you can blame yourself for, Chris and Dre, is how you accepted and allowed people to treat you. Let me say that again. You cannot understand or will understand how people treat you. You cannot sit there and figure it out. Why this person treat me like this? Why this person don't respect me? Why this person don't appreciate me? Why this person don't see me as what I see myself as? While you're spending so much time on trying to figure that out, you should be spending more time on figuring out, why do you allow it? Why do you allow it? Why do I allow someone to devalue me? Why do I allow someone to disrespect me? Why do I allow someone to put me as second fiddle? Why do I allow someone to not appreciate me? Why do I allow someone to not call me consistently? Why do I allow someone not to give me what I feel like I'm worthy or deserving of? Especially when I give it to them. The first experience of a deep emotional connection, it brings out your extreme levels of vulnerability. This is why so many people don't understand why they fell in love. The vulnerability aspect allowed you to speak. Think about it. You had problems with mom. Who did you talk to? You have problems with dad. Who did you talk to? You have problems in your home. Who did you talk to? So a lot of the times we misconstrue love, right? Right? With the connection of vulnerability. Two different aspects. I'm looking at the fact that I told her so many things about my personal life. So therefore, the connection came from the ability to be vulnerable. And then thinking that this is the one. But you don't understand that some people come in your life for a season. And some people come in your life for a reason. But the problem in life is we hold on to seasonal people. Why? Because the seasons are fun. Think about it. The best season we have is summer. When the summer is here, we don't want to let go, right? When summer is here, we don't want to let go. But you got to understand that was a seasonal person, and you got to walk into the next chapter of life and look for your reasonable people. Some people come in your life for a season, and some people come in your life for a reason. But we hold on to the seasonal people because they're fun. As one door closes, they say another one shall open. But a lot of times the doors have never opened because you haven't closed the initial doors. You think that things are going to get better when you haven't even fixed the way you think. As a man, as a woman, how could you ever create a healthy relationship when you've ever allowed yourself to believe that every relationship is bad? You generalize women. You generalize women. You generalize men. You put everyone in this box, right? And you say, not looking at Tom as Tom was bad to you. But now the new guy will suffer from the fact that you haven't gotten over the fact that Tom treated you bad. You go into this new relationship. Now you're going to treat Michelle bad because Crystal made you feel away. Tasha was disrespectful. So automatically you go in there with preconceived notions that Michelle is going to make you feel bad. James was no good. But what you do is you compare James to the new guy you're dealing with, Sean. And that's the problem, right? Someone said a domino effect, and it's truly what it is. We don't see that a lot of the times when we make decisions. We wonder why people treat us the way they treat us, but we don't see why we allow it. They say when you point a finger, 3 more fingers are pointed back at you. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to look in the mirror. We want to talk about what was and what could be, but we're not looking in the mirror at what is. Here's the problem. You're not looking in the mirror. You keep turning the mirror to accommodate the fact that you don't want to see what you need to see. Here's the problem. So again, when you wonder why people treat you the way they treat you, ask yourself, why do you allow it? Because the one thing about life, and you have to understand, is it's not about how people treat you. It's always about how or when and where you're willing to accept it. You've accepted it. Because people only do what you allow them to do to you. And this is the truth. A person will only do what you allow. They will only do what you allow. You got to start defending yourself. You got to set your standards. If a person don't respect you, it's time to alleviate access. Access not granted. If a person don't appreciate me, say it with me. Access not granted. If a person don't respect me, access not granted. If I gotta tell you my value, right? Hear this, because I gotta explain to you my value. Why the hell am I with you? If you don't think I'm the greatest thing that happened in your life, why the hell am I with you? If you constantly telling someone why they should respect you and why they should appreciate you, you are in the wrong relationship. And this is a reality. Go to where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated. Go to where you're celebrated and not where you're tolerated. Too many of us go where we're tolerated and not celebrated. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's someone right now that appreciates your roles, your fat, and everything about you rather than the person you with. The person you with is only trying to create more insecurities for control, and the person that you haven't met yet will accept you for who you are. Flaws and all. Everything about you. They're willing to accept what comes with you. But you're spending too much time on a person that don't appreciate you for who you are. That's the problem. Too much time, too much energy. Why are you still begging someone to appreciate you? Why? Because a lot of people fear being alone. We fear being alone. Ask this question with conviction and being honest. How many times have you ever seen someone, right, who literally go from relationship to relationship to relationship? That person is suffering inside because they're so scared to be alone. They're scared to be alone. And this is the truth. Tea? I gotta get some tea, guys. This is the truth. A lot of times when we're on to building our empires and to building our greater lives, we don't want to see the fact of the matter is this. Things don't fall apart. Things always fall into place, but you're spending your energy wondering why things look like they're falling apart. But things have to fall apart so it can fall into place. Your relationship has fallen apart because it's meant to fall apart. So your life can constantly or consistently fall into place. We look for what we want rather than what we need. We look for what we want rather than what we need. I don't need a woman that has a big butt. I want a woman that has a big butt, right? Is that a necessity? Does that make her a good woman? You don't need a man that's tall. Ladies, you want a man that's tall. Is that a necessity? Or is that something you want? And by not learning the difference between wants and needs, you're going to spend so much time on your wants, never really ever exercising your needs. Needs are, I need air to breathe. I need water to drink. I need food to eat. And I need somewhere to live. That's needs. Wants is, I need a Mercedes. You don't need no damn Mercedes. Wants is, I need a girl that looks a certain way. You choose to want someone like that. But a lot of times, the things, ladies and gentlemen, you may not want you. Let me say that again, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to hear this with conviction. The things you may want in life may not want you. Are you willing to accept that, though? No. You spent 40 years looking for this 6-figure man, 6 foot tall, and 6-figure salary. And he has never came. He has never came. Because maybe that 5-foot guy who makes 5 figures and highly respects you is the man that you should be with. Men, you're looking for the superficial woman who has to look like Beyonce, right? But you don't see the bigger picture. You don't see the bigger picture, right? See, because you took a photo don't mean you see the picture. A lot of us don't see the bigger picture. You got to enhance the photo size sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, so you can zoom in on your own life so you can see the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? The bigger picture is who respects you, who wants to be there with you, who loves you, who's willing to commit their life to you. When you don't understand this, listen to this again, ladies and gentlemen. A man and a woman coming into a relationship are two people that's willing to give the rest of their life. The same way you looking at that man like, he owed this, he's willing to give you his life. His life. But you won't value him. You know why you don't value him? Because something in your mind told you that you're the value. Something told you that he's valueless. You're the catch, right? You're the only catch. But last time, in order to have 2 people in the household, right? Listen to this, Dre, Chris, and Kenzie. It takes 2 people getting caught for it to have a relationship. So last time I checked, both people got to be the catch. Because, ladies, you can capture him with his vagina, with your vagina, but don't mean you're going to keep him. Damn. Let me say that again. You can capture him with your vagina, but that don't mean you're going to keep him. Because I'm going to tell you something. When a man chooses to plant his roots, I'm going to say this on record, and someone's going to take this personal. Listen to this good. In 2024, women chooses sex. Men choose relationships. If you don't agree, then you're living in a fairy tale world. Men choose marriage now. It's not the women no more. No disrespect. I'm just being fair, honest, and transparent. Someone's going to take this conversation personal. Right? Most women who've been in long-term relationships is because the man don't want to get married. Would you agree? Someone said it's been like that. And it definitely has. Let me say this again. Ladies choose sex. Men choose relationships. Ladies, men do not go where they're tolerated. Men go where they're celebrated. But the fact of the matter is you think he want to keep staying there when you want to tolerate him. You want to break this man down. Let me go on record and say this. I'm going to go a little deep, and I want you to get these videos, Chris. This is a little deep. Watch this. The reason why men are hypersensitive to when women disrespect them is because a lot of men grow up in homes where mothers disrespect them, right? So the mother emasculated this boy so much to the point where he already feels a way at these words. It's like a bull seeing red. The moment those words come out, it's a trigger because of what he's been through. So now by you calling him these words, all you're doing is hurting your relationship. That man will never respect you, never plant his roots there, and never want to marry you. He may stay because he loves you, but he will never respect you. I'm going to tell you something, ladies. A man that respects you will never make certain decisions. But when a man don't respect you, he will be reckless. He will be reckless. So sometimes when you sit down and talk about your man is reckless, you need to do some self-evaluation. How do you talk to this man that's supposed to be your king? He's supposed to be your husband or your man. You treat him like a boy. You talk down to him. You belittle him. And all you're doing is reminding him of how his mother spoke to him. So now it becomes triggers. And again, a man will stay with a woman like that, right? But he will never respect her. Ever. So again, those women that say, you ain't this, and curse at him and call him bees and all these words, remember why your relationship sucks. It's because of you. And I'm going to keep it real with you. A lot of times, and I hope the ladies are listening to this, when a man stays with a woman that called him these words, he will stay there and do everything to hurt her back. It becomes tit for tat. And that's a reality. All about commitment, loyalty, and respect. Look at this narrative. We said a word called respect. Women need nurturers. They need providers. They need security. But a man extremely needs respect. When a man isn't getting respect, he will never plant his roots. He will never respect you because of the way you speak to him. You cannot talk to this man like a dog, and then when things go back to normal, right? What they do, Kizzy, I love you. That man said, keep your love. Damn. Keep your love. Because love is shown when anger, not just when you're happy. A true woman that has self-control will always find a king better than a woman that has no self-control. And why is that? Because a woman in anger is not an excuse to behave like an animal. It's not an excuse. Because a man don't want to see his respect wavers. And if a man's respect wavers, so will his love for you. A man will stay with you but never respect you. He will never respect you. Ladies, when a man don't respect you, he'll be reckless. He won't care. He won't care. And I'm giving you facts. When you say, oh, this man does this and this man does that, have you ever asked yourself why? But you know what society has done to my ladies? No disrespect, but I'm talking honest. Society has told y'all that you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and when things go back to normal, that man has to act like you never said those things. Damn. Where does that make sense? You could be the most reckless mouth woman, right? But you don't see that you're hurting, so you're hurting him back. I'm gonna tell you something that's sexy to men, and I hope someone is taking notes, right? And my men that's on my live, if you agree, tell them I'm speaking these facts. If you get into an argument with a woman in public, and your woman can bite her tongue and wait till y'all get in the car and tell you about yourself, he may not want to hear it. But in his mind, he like, damn, she's sexy. Why is that? Because she has mastered something called self-control. A woman that has self-control will always be considered more sexy than a woman that don't have self-control. I've seen some of the most unattractive women have some of the greatest men because of the fact that they have something called self-control. I've met some of the most attractive women who are single as hell and who are going to die alone because they don't see that the world is not going to keep compromising to their looks. Your looks will bring you sex, but your looks will never bring you a king. Damn. It's bringing you sex, but it's never bringing you a king because you don't even know how to capture one. A man do not go where he's tolerated. He goes where he's celebrated. And I say this on record. But if you start talking like this, somebody like, he just chatting. Yeah, but I bet you probably single. You're probably single. And the sad part is, as you reach certain ages, ladies, the value in the dating market changes, right? The same way women could sit here and say stuff like, I want a man that makes money. I want a man that's a certain height. I want a certain man that carries himself a certain way. I want a man that's strong. The same way a woman could say that about a man will say something like this. I want a woman that's young. I want a woman that's submissive. I want a woman that knows what respect looks like. I want a woman that understands what being a wife looks like. I want a woman that carries herself with dignity. I don't want a modern woman who wants to be who wants a modern woman who wants a traditional man. But does that make sense? You behave like a modern woman, but you want a traditional man. Damn. What does that make sense? Megan Thee Stallion is very wealthy. But look at her dating life. Why is that? Beyonce show the goods, but she damn sure don't give the goods. Do you agree or disagree? She may dress sexy. And ain't too many people can say they had that. I'm just saying, men naturally do not want women who are very promiscuous. Men don't like that. Because a man wants something that he knows that has respect for themselves to the point where she held herself to a certain status. Ladies, you can do whatever you want. And I go on record and say this, you can sleep with Tom and Harry. But you have to understand that the consequences that come will be the chances you will find a lower value man. High value men tend to look for high value women who carry themselves of a certain status in a certain way. When a woman gets mad and curses this man out to the extreme, she's already has a low morals. That is a ghetto thing. That is ghetto. Calling a man a B, calling him all of these words, that is not a strong-minded woman. My mother used to say when I was a kid, when you're angry, the way you speak, it shows your level of vocab. So a woman speaking low value with her vocab, even in anger, shows that she has a low value or a low vocab. Why? Because she's not that intelligent. An intelligent woman knows how to talk with it even anger. Because what happens is you can't express yourself, Kenzie. So what you do is you start cursing or disrespecting It's because you cannot explain yourself. And it's time to read a book. Men, we're going to have this discussion. A lot of y'all aren't something called accountable. I've noticed that right now, accountability has become the worst thing that anyone could actually put in someone's face. There are a bunch of people right now who are very unaccountable. Going through my first relationships, you learn that you build trauma. And what you do is you run to a new relationship, ultimately putting a Band-Aid on a wound that needs surgery. Let me say this again. You'll put a Band-Aid on a wound that needs surgery, thinking that it's going to heal right. Noticing anyone who's had a major injury, right? A major injury, and never handled it the right way, always have later problems. Always have later issues, right? So think about this. Your relationship, broken leg, right? It's broken. You need surgery to fix it. You don't do surgery, right? You let it self-heal. By the time you look at that leg later in life, it will always have a problem because it needed to be fixed. And that's what a lot of people are right now. They aren't fixed. They need surgery. But what we do is we run to the Band-Aids, the easier problems. You run to your friends and tell them everything he or she did wrong, but not what you were wrong at. I think the healthiest person is a person that can look at a relationship and always see what they didn't do right. I think that's how you do better. I think when you break up, you move forward by looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing what you did wrong. What I mean by wrong, if you paid all the bills and then you complaining about all the bills you paid with him, then you should learn that you shouldn't do that again. So now you learn forward. Men, if you date a woman who wanted to always go out to eat and didn't want to pay ever to go out to eat, and you break up with her, you should learn never look for another girl that's greedy. And if she is greedy, she got to be willing to help pay for it. But again, when you learn forward, that's how you build a healthy mentality. But what we do is this. We accommodate our BS, and then we look at the other person, and then we play the victim. Damn. That's what we do. We play the victim. And a lot of us have been playing the victim for way too long. All your relationships didn't work out because of the opposite sex. Some of your relationships didn't work out because of you. Some of your relationships are bad because of you. The people you chose is because of you. The person you got intimate with, you should have been more conscious. But there's never accountability. It's always what someone else did other than yourself. That's why you're going to continue to have problems because you never see what you didn't do right. You got to learn forward. How do you learn forward? You learn to not look at certain women anymore, right? You learn to not look at certain men anymore, ladies. You learn to date better. You learn to be more realistic. What I mean by realistic? Some people believe that they're worthy or deserving of things that they haven't even done to themselves. You had a whole table, right? The first one in line to get food and you didn't even bring nothing to the party. You had a party or an event and you're the first in line with a plate and you didn't even bring nothing there. And that's how a lot of people are. They're the first in line to the next relationship, but they don't bring nothing to the goddamn relationship. But you want the biggest plate. You have the highest expectations. You got the biggest requirements. But what are you doing to bring to that relationship to make it better? What, a big mouth? What, some penis? Some vagina? Last time I checked, that's on wholesale right now. They're giving away both of them things for nothing. Damn. That is one of the easiest things to get. And if we count on that to be the standard of your value, that means you're very low value sisters and brothers. I'm going to call it what it is. But someone's going to take this offensive. Why? Because they don't want to hear the truth. A lot of the men that you see right now that are broken, that are angry and mad because they come from mothers that disrespected them extremely. Extremely. So when you say things like, oh, these men ain't this, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got to be honest about where that man came from. Some of the mothers, the way they spoken to their boys were extreme. So ladies, when you speaking to that man, remember every time you get mad, right, kids, you gotta say it loud, every time you get mad, all you're doing is reminding him of his traumas. You're reminding him of his traumas, and this is what you do. You justify your anger to ultimately insult this man and then expect him to deal with it. What kind of healthy is that? That's like, right, I said women need security, they need protection, right? And what else they need? Provision. So if I get mad, I stop providing. If she gets into an argument with a man, I don't protect her, right? And the last thing I don't do what? Provision, security, what's the other one? Protect, right? If I don't do none of those three things and blame it on anger, would a woman respect that? But a woman expects you to still deal with them after they compromise their respect for you and act like nothing happened. Ladies, you got something called selective memory. You got selective memory. You got selective memory. What I mean by selective memory, you remember what you want to remember. You remember what you want to remember. And how unhealthy is that? Dating someone and you only remember what you want to remember is the most unhealthiest relationship you could be in. Call it what it is. You want someone to be this great man. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to learn how to be great people ourselves. We got to learn how to be great people ourselves. You can't be the worst thing on 2 feet and say a person got to deal with you the way you are, but not see that you're not who you think you are either. A man has to accept me for who I am, but I'm not willing to accept a man for who he is. That's crazy. Ladies, that's called delusion. And you believe that if a man isn't strong enough to deal with your reckless mouth, he's sassy. That's the word they use, right? Sassy. He's sassy because he can't deal with your reckless mouth. That's called sassy. And that's called you're just ignorant. And I'm going to call it what it is. That is ignorant. That is one of the ignorantest statements that I could ever hear. A man is weak if he's not willing to deal with your nasty mouth. And you wonder why these men play games. Because even when y'all go back to normal, he won't respect you. It's just what it is. So be mindful of how you speak. I don't care you upset. Because the bills will still be paid even if I'm upset. When I'm not respecting you, the bills are still paid. My responsibilities are still made and still handled. So don't do that. We got to get more realistic. A lot of men and women are not living in reality these days. It's the first love. I've noticed there are men right now who believe that perfect woman is out there sitting waiting for them. I know women who's sitting out there right now believe that perfect person is out there waiting for them. And the sad part is, the people that think like that are usually the most flawed. And that's the sad part. But I'm going to tell you something. In order to become your greatest version of yourself, we got to accept the fact that we've been through things to make us who we are today. You can't get mad at the fact that things are not going the way you want in a relationship when you're not seeing what you're not doing to make a relationship better. Our first love created trauma or a false expectation based on what we're moving forward looking for. Our first love has given us either trauma or false expectations on what are the next relationships to be. If you tell me that your man was good and you and this man dated when y'all was 16 and you comparing it to your 30-year-old dating, you are a fool. You are a fool. Y'all was 16 years old, no bills, no responsibilities. Life was simple. Every time y'all got on the phone, y'all could stay on the phone all night and not worry about getting up in the morning. But if you still basing that to be the premise of your relationship today, or what you're looking for. Ladies, gentlemen, grow up. Live in reality. Because one thing you have to understand about life be lifing. Whether you want it to or not, life gonna life. Things are gonna happen that's beyond our control, what we cannot control at all, and what we have to accept it being. Ladies, I might be going through something this month that I'm depressed. So therefore, I'm not worried about you. Right? You said this man don't do nothing for me. Ladies, you ever looked at yourself and said, yo, maybe my man is depressed? Maybe my man is going through something? Maybe my man don't need to hear my mouth. Maybe he need to hear or see my love. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that? Maybe this man need to show that I care more, especially when you know you've said things that affected him mentally. Men don't give light to how bad a woman can hurt us. Because I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say this before I get out of here today. The first woman a man is usually vulnerable with is their mother. The mother learns things about their boys, right, that could ultimately hurt them when they say it back. But here's the narrative. That boy gets older. He finds a woman he loves. He becomes what? Vulnerable again, right? She hurts him. And that man will never be the same. And a lot of women don't understand that. There are a lot of men who are hurting from the fact of their last relationships, or they have trust issues. Because ladies, I'm going to say this and someone's going to get upset. A lot of y'all learn things about y'all man and y'all use it against them in anger. And it's very unfair. Most men do not tell you things about yourself. We'll tell you you don't look fat when you do. We'll tell you you look nice in something when you don't. We always think about and considerate of your feelings, right? And I think you guys need to become more considerate. Men have feelings also. And at the same time, y'all got to get out your feelings and stop saying things like, these men aren't this and these men will never be like this because of the fact that you ladies are raising these men to be the way they are. Single mothers are complaining about the boys that they're creating. Single mothers are complaining about the boys that they're creating. How do one know how to be a man when no man was around? And ladies, the man that you brought around to your son was the opposite of what you want him to be. But your son see that you was willing to accept this loser, but now you're pointing a finger at me about the man I'm not. When you showed me a horrible example of what a man looks like because my mom was willing to be with this man. What does that say about you, Mom? What does that say about you, Mom? Your daughter watched you date bums, and you have the nerve to talk about her little boyfriend that's a weed head. But that's what you showed her. That's what you showed her. So why do you expect difference when that's what you showed? I'm gonna give a moment of silence to the people that don't want to hear this. But guess what? You're gonna hear this because it's the truth. A lot of y'all need to hear this truth. Ladies, learn how to control your emotions even in anger. Emotional maturity is a real term that you need to learn, Google, and understand it. Emotional maturity meaning the act of acting even in anger. The maturity of acting even in anger. You cannot keep justifying how you talk to men because of your anger. And men, you can't keep justifying how we treat our women because of our past relationships or the relationship we had with our mamas. We got to work on ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Get better, learn better. We're going to start doing better. Till next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.